AITA for choosing my brother over my marriage? My parents divorced when I was 3 and went into separate marriages. I had a rough childhood being split between 2 different households. It was really messy and made me not want children at all. When I was 20, my parents reconciled after their second marriages had ended and had my brother soon after. I had already been dating my now wife for a year, and we were eventually married. She agreed with me about not wanting kids. 5 years later, and my brother is now 6. And all is not well in my parents' marriage. My mother had an unexpected heart attack and died. My father did not take it well and drank himself to death. Obviously my family is mourning, and I've been trying to find a home for my brother. None of my half siblings want him. The only other option would be for him to go into foster care, and I'm not going to let that happen. I told my wife that I was going to become his guardian, and that she did not have to stick around in this marriage if she didn't want to. She did not take it well and is furious that I would choose my brother over her. I doubt my marriage will survive, but I can't let my brother go into foster care. Edit, LC. AITA, that's a horrible thing to say to your wife. I agree the delivery was terrible. Info. It kinda depends how the convo went down. If I base my opinion solely off the text, you're an asshole. I would never introduce an idea as I'm going to do this, and if you don't like it you can leave. Agree. It sounds like Op make the decision and then told the wife to accept or divorce him. If so, he's the asshole. Also, we need info on what the wife had to say about the brother coming to live with them when he had no other home. Did wife say nope? Never? Or something else? Clearly there is a communication breakdown in the marriage, because this is not how a partnership between 2 people works. Your wife is being unreasonable, but that is an absolutely terrible way to address the issue with your wife. Edit, upon further thought. AITA. This whole scenario seems to stem from you giving your wife an ultimatum instead of a conversation. Additionally, your phrasing of she can like it or leave makes it sound like you care little for your marriage and would throw her away for any scenario you want. But we really don't know what the wife said. It sounds like Op gave an ultimatum to the wife rather than discussing it beforehand. Wife could be upset about how it was said to her, or that she wasn't included in the decision-making process, rather than upset with the brother needing a place to stay. Now, life is a series of choices. And if your choice is to take in your brother, regardless of the consequences, no one should fault you for that. You're making a choice for your wife as well, since she can't very well say she won't parent him or participate physically or financially in raising him while she's still married to you and living in the same house. She's already made it clear that she doesn't want kids, so you can't blame her if she chooses to walk away. NTA for stepping up and taking care of your brother, but you absolutely could have handled this better. I do not want children in the slightest, but if my husband had a young sibling in need of a home, there would be no question. Maybe your wife feels the same way, but you'll never know, because you didn't ask her. You told her what was going to happen and made it into a choice between your brother and wife. If you'd sat down and had a conversation with her, even if it ended the same way, you wouldn't beat her. But you didn't even give her a chance to make a decision. You made it for her. And that's fucked up. That's not what a marriage is. Taking care of your brother, NTA. Effectively kicking your wife out without so much as an adult conversation, AITA. Edit, just going to point out that we don't actually know if Op is getting a divorce. He said his wife is mad that he chose his brother over her. That doesn't necessarily mean she's not down to take the kid in. I interpreted this comment as a reaction to the manner in which Op presented the situation. We don't actually know how she feels beyond that. I'm willing to change my answer to now. She's allowed to be upset about the situation, because it changes the whole of their life plans. And of course he needs to take in his brother. I only think he's tar because of the manner in which he approached this. As far as I can tell, AITA approached this horrifically. It's totally fine to know that you would choose your brother in the end. But this should been a conversation and a collaboration. You should have given your wife the chance to get comfortable with the idea, and maybe she would have gone on board if she felt like an active member in the decision. Instead, you made the choice and made it clear her opinion doesn't matter. Chances are she wouldn't have left you if you handled this like a responsible adult who cares about his wife. She would have adjusted to life's changes. But now I would not blame her if she did leave you solely based on the way you treated the situation. Exactly this. AITA. AITA. Not because you are taking your brother in. Obviously you should do that. But only because adding "you can leave if you want" was unnecessary and told her in her mind you didn't care about her very much. That said, I realize emotions are very high and right now, and you're going through a lot. My condolences to your family. I hope you can all pull through this and your wife comes to understand. I agree. My little brother and I are separated by 16 years. He's 10 and my parents are both having health problems. My wife and I have been named as his guardian after them. My wife has absolutely no desire to have kids. But after a couple long discussions, she understands that he's our family every bit as she is to me. And that I know it isn't in the plans, but we can't just abandon him. But at the same time, heaven or hell could stand in between me signing that document. And I wasn't as callous about it. But yes, my wife, an adult who can care for herself, can leave if she doesn't want to take in a 10-year-old. So, you didn't discuss it? You just told her? So basically my way or the highway type thing. Like it or leave it. It seems like in no way, shape or form like you even included her on this. From his reply, it sounds like no discussion happened. He basically just said, "I'm doing this. If you don't like it, you can leave." Which is an asshole thing to do, Imo. AITA for making the decision unilaterally and then throwing this at her like a brick. You aren't wrong to want to take your brother in. But you just torpedoed your marriage and are acting like she's being unreasonable. She's justifiably hurt by how you handled this. Agreed. Even though Op was definitely going to take the kid regardless of what the wife said. It's possible she could agree. Or want to talk out the difficulties, but still maybe agree. Or even come up with an agreeable compromise. But he threw out the ultimatum right out the gates. If my so did that, any chance of me agreeing would go right out the window because it shows a complete lack of respect. Is he the asshole for his decision to take in the brother? No. And I don't think anyone thinks so. He's the asshole because he didn't even try to talk to his wife about it. AITA, not for stepping up to avoid foster hell for your brother. But man, you didn't even make an effort to salvage your marriage. It looks from here like you used the situation with your brother to get out a relationship you weren't happy with. It looks from here like you used the situation with your brother to get out a relationship you weren't happy with. This. Exactly how it sounded to me. And most likely the wife too. 5 years later, and my brother is now 6. And all is not well in my parents' marriage. This clever line, before mentioning how the both of them died in awful ways, make me want to believe this is a shitpost. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought this. My parents' marriage is not going well. For one, they're both dead. Like, that's not their marriage hitting a rough spot. They're dead. WTF. AITA. If the conversation went that way. I'm also child free, I don't want kids. But my husband and I are in the process of trying to get custody of his nephew. Because he's in a bad situation. It was a dialogue. We both discussed the pros/cons and our feelings on the matter. Although, I know I would be the primary caregiver. Since my husband is not a nurturer. And I accept that, because it's my husband's family. And I love him. But he also respected my feelings and the agreement we made to not have children, and allowed it to be a discussion. Despite the fact that in the end there was really no choice for either of us. You're doing a great thing. But you went about it in a terrible way. You're doing a great thing. But you went about it in a terrible way. It baffles my mind that people don't understand this point. NTA. But barely. You didn't ask for her input. You stated what you were going to do, and basically said like it or leave. That said, if you talk about it, and she doesn't want to take the brother in, and would rather foster care, you're in the clear to take care of your brother. No matter what you two had agreed upon. This is an emergency. Foster care can really mess with a kid's psyche. Thank you for stepping up to the plate. I understand your wife being upset because it chances your plan / your dynamic. Though, I think you should apologize for making it sound like you were about to throw her out or something, if that's what you did. But I don't think you should apologize for essentially saving a kid whose parents just died. Please remember to be civil. HTTPS link. This will be a divisive discussion and many of you will have to accept that you simply won't agree. But you still need to be respectful. NTA. You can find another wife. You can't find another brother. He's a baby and he needs someone to look after his best interests. Foster care? What if it's an abusive home? Can you live with that? Or when he grows up and thinks the world doesn't care about him and he ends up destroyed? Could you live with that? Either she comes around or she doesn't. But taking him in is absolutely the only option. If you enjoyed this video then hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like to see more future videos.